These are the rarest muscle cars ever built, machines produced in fewer than 100 units that combine raw power, bold design, and unmatched exclusivity. Number 30. 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Yenko. Units produced 99. The 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle Yenko stands as one of the most formidable dealer-built supercars of the golden muscle car era. Don Yenko, the Pennsylvania dealer who had already made a name for himself by ordering special Camaros through Chevrolet's Central Office Production Order Program, turned his attention to the Chevelle for 1969. What emerged was the Yenko Super Chevelle, a car that combined factory engineering with dealer-installed touches, and one that instantly became the stuff of muscle car legend. At the heart of this machine was the mighty L72 Ford 127 cubic inch big block V8. Chevrolet conservatively rated it at 425 horsepower, but in truth, the engine's output crept far higher under real-world conditions. This was no ordinary Chevelle SS. With heavy-duty internals, forged pistons, and a high-lift camshaft, the L72 transformed the Chevelle into a street-legal drag car. Only 99 were built, each wearing Yenko's trademark graphics and badging, setting them apart from the thousands of standard Chevelles that left showrooms that year. Performance was nothing short of brutal. The Yenko Chevelle could rocket through the quarter mile in the low 13-second range, with trap speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour, a remarkable feat for a full-bodied car weighing well over 3,000 pounds. Buyers were often young men looking for the biggest punch per dollar, and Yenko's supercars provided exactly that: factory reliability paired with aftermarket aggression. Today, the 1969 Yenko Chevelle sits in the upper echelon of collectible muscle cars. Survivors are few, with many having fallen victim to street racing, drag strip abuse, or simply being driven into the ground by owners who had no idea how valuable they would one day become. Authenticity is fiercely scrutinized, as clones and tribute cars abound, but the handful of real 99 cars hold a value that stretches well into 6- and 7-figure territory. More than just a fast car, the Yenko Chevelle represents a daring period in American automotive history, when dealers could outmaneuver manufacturers and create legends on their own terms. Number 29. 1968 Dodge Hearst Hemi Dart LO23. Units produced 80. The 1968 Dodge Hearst Hemi Dart, known by its LO23 factory code, was never intended to be a typical showroom muscle car. Instead, it was a purebred drag racing weapon born from Chrysler's desire to dominate the NHRA Superstock class. Working hand-in-hand with Hearst performance, Dodge created one of the most uncompromising, stripped-down, and brutally fast machines of the era. At its core sat the legendary 126 cubic inch Hemi V8. This engine, already feared on the drag strip, was transplanted into the lightweight Dart body with minimal concessions to civility. Factory workers cut weight anywhere possible. Hoods, fenders, and bumpers were made from fiberglass, while doors and other components were acid dipped to shave off precious pounds. Even basic items like heaters, radios, and sound deadening were deleted, emphasizing that this was a race car first and foremost. The result was a Dart weighing just over 3,000 pounds, yet packing well over 425 advertised horsepower, with real output believed to be north of 500. On the quarter mile, the LO23 Hemi Dart was nothing short of astonishing. In factory-tuned form, these cars could dip into the 10-second range with trap speeds well over 120 miles per hour. For many amateur racers, buying one of these meant instant competitiveness, as Chrysler had done all the hard work at the factory. To ensure durability, Dodge fitted heavy-duty parts like special transmissions, reinforced driveline components, and chassis modifications to handle the immense torque. Only about 80 were ever produced, all sold directly to racers rather than the general public. They were not street warrantied and carried disclaimers, making it clear that these cars were for competition use only. Today, surviving examples of the LO23 Hemi Dart are revered not just for their rarity, but for their raw authenticity as some of the last true factory-built race cars of the muscle era. Collectors prize them as rolling artifacts of when Detroit's automakers openly waged war on the drag strip, and the Hemi Dart remains one of Dodge's most fearsome creations. Number 28, 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, COPO 9560. Units produced, 69. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 was the ultimate expression of General Motors' willingness to bend the rules when performance-minded dealers knew how to work the system. Created under the Central Office Production Order Program, the COPO 9560 package slipped past corporate restrictions that normally banned engines larger than 400 cubic inches in mid-size cars. What buyers received was nothing short of breathtaking. A Camaro fitted with the all-aluminum ZL1 427 cubic inch big block V8, an engine designed primarily for Can-Am racing. This engine was both lightweight and ferociously powerful, with Chevrolet conservatively rating it at 430 horsepower. In reality, dyno tests showed output closer to 500 in stock trim, with virtually unlimited potential for tuning. Unlike iron block big blocks of the time, the ZL1's aluminum construction saved nearly 100 pounds off the nose, dramatically improving handling and acceleration. This meant the Camaro ZL1 wasn't just a straight-line brute, it was surprisingly balanced for a car of its size and purpose. Performance was earth-shattering for the era. In factory-delivered form, the ZL1 Camaro could tear through the quarter mile in the low 12-second range, and with minor tuning, it dipped into 11s. This made it one of the fastest production muscle cars of all time, capable of embarrassing nearly anything on the street or strip in 1969. Only 69 examples were ever built, making it the rarest and most desirable first-generation Camaro. High price tags discouraged many buyers. The ZL1 option alone cost more than the base price of the car. As a result, some languished on dealer lots, sold at discounts to racers who understood their true potential. Today, they are blue-chip collectibles, often commanding seven-figure prices at auction. The ZL1 Camaro stands as both a product of its time and a defiance of it. At a moment when insurance companies and regulators were tightening the noose on performance cars, Chevrolet and its dealers unleashed a machine that rewrote the rules of muscle car performance. The ZL1 remains one of the crown jewels of American automotive history. Number 27, 1968 Chevrolet Camaro Yenko. Units produced, around 64. By 1968, Don Yenko had already carved out a reputation as the man who could give Chevrolet buyers what the factory would not. The Camaro was fresh on the scene, but Chevrolet restricted engines larger than 400 cubic inches in its pony car. Yenko's solution was to bypass the rules by creating his own version of the ultimate Camaro. The result was the 1968 Yenko Camaro, a dealer-born supercar that quickly became one of the rarest and most desirable Chevrolets of the decade. Yenko began with Camaro SS models equipped with the 396 cubic inch V8. At his Pennsylvania dealership, these cars were converted by swapping in the fearsome 427 cubic inch L72 big block V8. Rated at 425 horsepower, this engine was the same monster found in Chevrolet's top-tier full-size performance cars and Corvettes. The transplant transformed the Camaro from a respectable pony car into a genuine muscle car heavyweight, capable of quarter-mile times deep into the low 13-second range. Cosmetically, Yenko made sure his creations stood out. They wore distinctive Yenko stripes, special badging, and often sported a menacing stance that reflected their newfound performance pedigree. Roughly 64 of these conversions were completed in 1968, though records vary. and fewer than half are believed to survive today. This low survival rate only increases the mystique of these early Yenko Camaros. Unlike later COPO Camaros that were factory-built with big block engines thanks to Yenko's lobbying, these 1968 models were truly dealer conversions. That makes them historically significant, representing the period when individual dealers had the creativity and freedom to build cars the factory refused to offer. Today, the 1968 Yenko Camaro holds an almost mythical status among collectors. Authentic examples command extraordinary prices, often eclipsing many factory-built muscle legends. They are celebrated not just for their rarity, but for what they represent. The dawn of the dealer supercar era, when muscle car dreams were limited only by imagination and ambition. Number 26. 1971 Dodge Charger RT Hemi. Units produced, 63. By 1971, the mighty 426 Hemi was approaching the end of its storied career, and the Dodge Charger RT was one of its final and most dramatic homes. That year marked the last time Dodge would offer the Hemi in its body Charger lineup, making the 63 RT hardtops equipped with the engine extraordinarily rare. The early 70s brought stricter emissions regulations, rising insurance premiums, and shifting consumer tastes, all of which conspired against big block muscle. But for a brief moment, Dodge still let customers order the most ferocious V8 available, wrapped in one of the era's most stylish bodies. The 426 Hemi remained the crown jewel under the hood, conservatively rated at 425 horsepower but delivering far more when properly tuned. With dual 4-barrel carburetors, hemispherical combustion chambers, and bulletproof internals, it was a purpose-built race engine masquerading as a street option. When dropped into the Charger's aggressive fuselage styling for 1971, it created one of the most intimidating Mopars ever built. Every RT Hemi Charger came standard with a heavy-duty drivetrain to survive the torque, including reinforced 4-speed manuals or bulletproof torque flight automatics. Buyers could also order the car with wild options, like a factory sunroof, making a few examples among the rarest Mopar muscle cars of all time. Performance figures were staggering, with quarter-mile times dipping into the low 13-second range on stock tires, though drag racers often coaxed much more out of them with tuning. Today, the 1971 Hemi Charger RT is not only celebrated for its rarity, but also for what it represents: the closing chapter of the factory Hemi era in Dodge's muscle lineup. With only 63 built, collectors consider them crown jewels, and their values at auction reflect their scarcity and performance pedigree. In a time when the muscle car movement was already under siege, the Hemi Charger stood tall as one last defiant roar from Dodge. Number 25. 1966 Ford Fairlane 427 R Code. Units produced, Bro 57. The 1966 Ford Fairlane 427 R Code is one of the most elusive muscle cars ever to come out of Dearborn. Built in minuscule numbers, just 57 examples, it represented Ford's determination to field a legitimate drag strip terror while maintaining a thin veneer of street legality. By slipping its race-bred 427 cubic inch FE engine into the mid-size Fairlane, Ford created a machine that bridged the gap between showroom muscle and professional racing. The engine itself was nothing less than legendary. Rated at 425 horsepower, the 427 featured high-riser cylinder heads, solid lifters, and a forged steel crankshaft. Every car was equipped with a mandatory 4-speed manual transmission and heavy-duty driveline components to survive the abuse of drag launches. Ford kept options minimal, no frills, no luxuries, because these R-Code Fairlanes were intended for one thing: speed. In the quarter mile, the Fairlane R-Code was ferocious. Period tests recorded elapsed times in the low 13-second range, and with minor tuning, owners could shave off more. Its compact mid-size body, paired with the brute strength of the FE Big Block, made it a natural competitor against Chrysler's Hemi-powered bodies and Chevrolet's big block Chevelles. For Ford loyalists, it was the ultimate answer in the muscle car wars of the mid-60s. The exclusivity of the car came from its intent. Ford quietly built them for serious racers, avoiding the fanfare of a mass-market release. The production figure of 57 ensured it met homologation requirements for NHRA competition, but also guaranteed scarcity. Unlike later Fairlane GT and Torino Cobra models, the R code was essentially a factory race car with license plates. Today, the 1966 Fairlane 427 R code is one of the most collectible Fords ever built. Surviving examples are rarely offered for sale, and when they are, they command extraordinary sums thanks to their rarity, historical significance, and uncompromising focus on performance. For enthusiasts, it represents the moment Ford put its fiercest engine into a street package without apology, creating a true drag strip legend. Number 24, 1963 Chevrolet Impala Z11 427. Units produced 57. The 1963 Chevrolet Impala Z11 427 was born out of Chevrolet's determination to maintain dominance on the drag strip during the fiercely competitive early 60s. At a time when factory-backed drag racing was reaching its peak, Chevrolet introduced the Z11 as a purpose-built weapon disguised as a full-size family car. Only 57 were produced, making them one of the rarest and most coveted performance Chevrolets ever created. Under the hood sat a very special 427 cubic inch version of Chevrolet's famous W Series engine, often referred to as the mystery motor. This was no ordinary big block. It featured unique cylinder heads, revised intake manifolds, and high-lift camshafts. Chevrolet conservatively rated it at 430 horsepower, though actual output exceeded that figure by a significant margin. This motor was designed to dominate NHRA's Superstock class, and when paired with a 4-speed manual transmission and 4.11 rear gears, it gave the Impala incredible straight-line performance. To complement the power, Chevrolet also put the Impala on a diet. Aluminum hood, fenders, bumpers, and brackets were installed, while interiors were stripped of unnecessary trim. These weight-saving measures helped cut nearly 200 pounds from the car's hefty frame. For a car of its size, the Z11 was shockingly quick, capable of mid-12 second quarter-mile times right off the showroom floor, a staggering achievement for 1963. The Z11 quickly became a force on the drag strip, piloted by some of the best-known Chevrolet racers of the day. Legends like Dino Don Nicholson and Dave Strickler campaigned these cars with enormous success, cementing their place in muscle car history. Their dominance, however, was short-lived, as General Motors soon withdrew from factory-supported racing programs in the mid-60s. Today, surviving examples of the Impala Z11 are among the rarest muscle-era Chevrolets. With only 57 ever produced and fewer surviving, collectors consider them priceless artifacts of drag racing's golden age. The Z11 embodies the brief but unforgettable era when full-size family sedans could leave tire marks that rivaled the best dedicated race machines of their time. Number 23, 1967 Chevrolet Camaro Yenko. Units produced, around 54. The 1967 Chevrolet Camaro Yenko holds the distinction of being the very first of Don Yenko's legendary Super Camaros. At a time when Chevrolet limited the Camaro to engines no larger than 400 cubic inches, Yenko found a way around the rules by creating his own supercar conversions. Starting with SS Camaros, he replaced their 396 cubic inch engines with the Corvette's 427 cubic inch L72 big block. This daring move transformed the Camaro into one of the most feared street and strip machines of the era. The transplanted 427 was rated at 425 horsepower, but real-world output was closer to 450. With a high-lift camshaft, forged internals, and massive dual-plane intake, the L72 gave the Yenko Camaro acceleration that rivaled anything else available in 1967. Quarter-mile times dipped into the low 13-second range, and in the hands of skilled racers, the cars could push into the 12s. For a first-year pony car, these performance numbers were staggering. Yenko didn't stop with the engine swap. He fitted a distinctive fiberglass Stinger-style hood borrowed from Corvette styling and added custom striping and Yenko SC badging. This ensured his creations stood out both visually and mechanically from the factory SS Camaros. Roughly 54 were built in 1967, making them exceedingly rare even by the standards of dealer-modified muscle cars. Many were sold directly to serious enthusiasts and racers, which means surviving examples today are even scarcer due to the hard lives they endured. These first-year Yenko Camaros were the blueprint for what would follow. By proving that customers craved more power than the factory was willing to provide, Yenko set the stage for the later Copo program, where Chevrolet itself built big block Camaros under special order. But in 1967, it was purely Yenko's vision, his risk, and his ingenuity that made it happen. Today, the 1967 Yenko Camaro is regarded as one of the most historically significant Camaros ever built. With only about 54 produced and fewer surviving, their value and desirability among collectors is astronomical. They represent the dawn of the dealer supercar era and stand as a symbol of how passion and creativity could outpace factory limits. Number 22. 1969 AMC Hearst Superstock AMX. Units produced, 52. The 1969 AMC Hearst Superstock AMX was a bold and uncompromising creation, designed solely for one purpose: drag racing. At the time, American Motors was often seen as a smaller player in the muscle car wars, overshadowed by giants like Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors. But with the help of Hearst Performance, AMC unleashed a factory-prepped Superstock AMX that showed the world they could compete at the highest level. Just 52 of these AMXs were built, each finished in a striking red, white, and blue paint scheme that proudly displayed AMC's patriotic image. They weren't marketed to casual buyers or everyday drivers. These were strictly competition machines. Every car left the factory stripped of creature comforts, equipped with lightweight parts, and tuned for one thing: straight-line acceleration. Interiors were bare bones, with bucket seats, minimal trim, and weight savings at every opportunity. Powering the Superstock AMX was AMC's 390 cubic inch V8, but not in standard showroom form. These engines were hand-prepared with high-performance internals, aggressive camshafts, and dual 4-barrel carburetors, pushing power well beyond their advertised rating. With factory tuning, they were capable of quarter-mile runs deep into the 11-second range, making them highly competitive in NHRA's Superstock classes. Because these cars were built purely for the strip, they carried no factory warranty and were never intended for street use. Buyers were typically well-known racers who campaigned them at sanctioned drag events across the country. This made the Superstock AMX an instant legend within racing circles, despite AMC's smaller size compared to Detroit's Big Three. Today, the 1969 Hearst Superstock AMX is among the rarest AMC performance models ever produced. Surviving examples, often still wearing their patriotic livery, are cherished as rolling reminders of AMC's brief but brilliant foray into factory-backed drag racing. Their rarity, competition pedigree, and unmistakable styling ensure that they stand as one of the most collectible muscle cars of the era. Number 21. 1968 Plymouth Barracuda Hemi Superstock B29. Units produced, around 50. The 1968 Plymouth Barracuda Hemi Superstock, known internally by its B29 code, was one of the most radical factory drag cars ever assembled by Chrysler. These cars were not designed for street cruising or even casual performance driving. They were engineered from the ground up as quarter-mile assassins. With only around 50 units produced, they remain some of the rarest and most feared Mopar machines of the era. The transformation began with the lightweight fastback body of the Barracuda. To shed every possible pound, Hearst Performance modified the cars with fiberglass front fenders, hoods, and lightweight bumpers, while side windows were replaced with thinner materials. Creature comforts such as heaters, radios, and insulation were stripped away, leaving a car that was all business. These weight-saving measures gave the B-29 Barracuda a fighting chance against heavier competitors, maximizing the potential of its monstrous power plant. At the heart of the superstock Barracuda was Chrysler's 426 Hemi V8. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, in reality, it produced far more, especially when paired with its dual 4-barrel carburetors and aggressive cam profiles. Backed by either a heavy-duty torque flight automatic or a 4-speed manual, the B-29 cars were capable of running quarter-mile times in the low 10-second range, territory reserved for serious drag machines. These cars were sold strictly to racers, not the general public. They carried no factory warranty and were delivered essentially as race-ready packages, intended for NHRA Superstock competition. Their patriotic mission was clear: to keep Chrysler at the forefront of professional drag racing, where bragging rights translated directly into showroom sales of regular Barracudas and other Plymouth models. Today, the 1968 Hemi Superstock Barracuda stands as one of the most collectible Mopars ever built. With only about 50 produced and even fewer surviving, they are museum-worthy icons of drag racing's golden era. Their rawness, speed, and rarity ensure that the B-29 Barracuda is remembered not just as a muscle car, but as a factory-built missile that blurred the line between street machine and full-blown race car. Number 20. 1968 Ford Mustang 428 Cobra Jet Lightweight. Units produced, 50. The 1968 Ford Mustang 428 Cobra Jet Lightweight marked the dawn of a new era for Ford performance cars. Known internally as the 135 series, these cars were built specifically for drag racing, homologation, and only 50 were produced. Each was purpose-built to introduce the world to the newly developed 428 Cobra Jet engine, which would soon become legendary in muscle car history. The Cobra Jet lightweight Mustangs debuted at the 1968 NHRA Winter Nationals in Pomona, California, where they stunned the competition by winning straight out of the gate. Their immediate success gave the Cobra Jet engine instant credibility and helped cement Ford's reputation on the drag strip. These Mustangs were stripped of all unnecessary options to save weight. No radios, no heaters, no sound deadening, and very few creature comforts. The focus was on raw performance, not daily driving. Under the hood, the 428 Cobra Jet was underrated at 335 horsepower, but real-world output was far higher, often exceeding 400. The engine featured larger heads, a high-flow intake, heavy-duty internals, and a functional ram air induction system. Paired with a close-ratio 4-speed or a tough C6 automatic, the Cobra Jet Mustangs could rip through the quarter-mile in the low 13-second range, with experienced racers squeezing out even quicker times. These cars were instantly recognizable not only for their power, but for their intent. Built in small numbers, they were never meant for the mass market, but rather for professional racers who could showcase Ford's engineering prowess at sanctioned events. Their lightened construction and potent powertrain made them serious contenders, and their track record quickly turned them into legends. Today, the 1968 Mustang 428 Cobra Jet Lightweight is one of the most sought-after Mustangs ever built. With only 50 units produced, each example is a rare artifact of Ford's aggressive push into drag racing dominance. Their success laid the foundation for the Cobra Jet nameplate, which would endure for decades as a symbol of Ford muscle at its finest. Number 19. 2009 Dodge Challenger Hearst Hemi Edition. Units produced, 50. The 2009 Dodge Challenger Hearst Hemi Edition was a modern throwback to the golden era of muscle cars, combining retro-inspired styling with the high-performance spirit of Hearst performance. At a time when the reborn Challenger was still new to the market, Dodge partnered with Hearst to create a limited run of just 50 cars that paid homage to the legendary Hearst-prepped muscle machines of the 1960s and 70s. Each Hearst Challenger began life as a Challenger SRT-8, already a formidable machine with its 6.1-liter Hemi V8 producing over 425 horsepower. Hearst Performance took these cars and enhanced them with both cosmetic and mechanical upgrades. The most iconic feature was the white and gold paint scheme, echoing the Hearst colors that had become synonymous with drag racing dominance decades earlier. Matching gold accents appeared on the wheels, striping, and interior details, making the car instantly recognizable. Performance enhancements included Hearst-tuned suspension upgrades, special exhaust systems, and most importantly, the signature Hearst Competition Plus short-throw shifter. This shifter was more than a nostalgic detail. It delivered quick, precise gear changes that gave drivers the tactile thrill associated with classic Hearst-equipped muscle cars. Large Hearst-branded wheels wrapped in performance rubber completed the package, ensuring that the car's grip matched its power. Inside, the Hearst Challenger carried custom embroidery, unique badging, and numbered plaques, identifying each car as part of the 50-unit production run. This exclusivity made them immediate collectibles, especially for enthusiasts who appreciated the connection between the modern Challenger and its vintage forebears. Though produced in the 21st century, the Hearst Hemi Challenger carried the same philosophy as the legendary drag strip specials of the past: brute force, eye-catching style, and exclusivity. With only 50 ever built, it remains one of the rarest modern interpretations of a muscle car, bridging the gap between heritage and contemporary engineering. Today, these cars are highly prized by collectors, representing not just limited production rarity, but also the continuation of Hearst's legacy and American performance culture. Number 18. 1968 Dodge Dart GSS 440, Mr. Norm. Units produced, around 50. The 1968 Dodge Dart GSS 440, created by the legendary Chicago dealer Mr. Norm Kraus of Grand Spalding Dodge, was one of the most outrageous dealer-built muscle cars of its time. Dodge never officially offered the Dart with a 440 cubic inch engine from the factory, but Mr. Norm recognized the potential of cramming Chrysler's largest wedge motor into Dodge's compact A-body platform. The result was a lightweight street brawler with big block torque and acceleration that could embarrass far more expensive cars. The Grand Spalding Dodge shop developed a special conversion program, ordering Dart GTS models with the 383 big block and then swapping in the 440 Magnum V8. This engine, rated at 375 horsepower, was actually capable of much more, with abundant torque across the rev range. In a car as small and light as the Dart, the 440 turned the compact into a true giant killer. With proper gearing, quarter-mile times could fall into the low 13-second range, which rivaled Chrysler's own factory Hemi cars. Mr. Norm cleverly marketed the Dart GSS, which stood for Grand Spalding Special, as a street-legal terror that could be bought right off his lot. Roughly 48 to 50 were built, each carrying special GSS badging and a reputation that spread quickly among performance enthusiasts. For buyers who wanted maximum acceleration in a sleeper-sized package, the Dart GSS was the ultimate answer. Though Dodge Corporate would later recognize the idea by offering big block Darts and eventually developing the Hemi Dart drag specials, Mr. Norm's 440 Darts were the spark that lit the fire. They proved that even a smaller platform could handle serious power when engineered correctly. Today, the 1968 Dodge Dart GSS 440 stands as one of the rarest and most desirable dealer-modified Mopars ever created. Survivors are few, given that many were driven hard and raced extensively, but their legend endures. Collectors prize them not only for their scarcity, but also for their role in pushing the boundaries of what a muscle car could be. Number 17. 1969 Chevrolet Nova Yenko 427. Units produced, 37. The 1969 Chevrolet Nova Yenko 427 was one of the wildest and rarest creations to come from Don Yenko's high-performance empire. While the Nova had long been Chevrolet's compact, economical offering, Yenko saw untapped potential in its lightweight body and short wheelbase. His solution was as audacious as it was effective. Drop Chevrolet's monstrous L72 427 cubic inch big block V8 under the hood. The L72 engine was officially rated at 425 horsepower, but in practice, its output exceeded that figure by a comfortable margin. In a car as small as the Nova, the result was a muscle car that bordered on uncontrollable. Quarter-mile runs in the low 13s were easily achievable, and with traction aids and skilled drivers, the cars could dip into the 12s. With a curb weight far lower than a Chevelle or Camaro, the Nova Yenko was an unassuming but brutally fast street machine. Visually, Yenko added his signature touches, including Yenko SC badging, distinctive stripes, and optional performance upgrades that set the cars apart from standard Novas. Yet, despite their flair, these cars remain sleepers to the untrained eye, with much of their menace hidden beneath the simple two-door sedan body. Only 37 production examples were built, plus one prototype, making them the rarest of Yenko's supercar conversions. Owners quickly discovered that the Nova's short wheelbase made it notoriously difficult to handle when unleashing the full fury of the 427. The combination of immense torque and a lightweight chassis made these cars challenging to drive at their limit, but also thrilling in a way that few other muscle cars could match. Today, the 1969 Nova Yenko 427 is considered one of the crown jewels of the dealer-built supercar era. Survivors are exceedingly rare, with most having lived hard lives on the drag strip or the street. Their extreme rarity, combined with their ferocious performance, makes them some of the most valuable and desired Yenkos ever produced. Number 16. 1969 AMC AMX California 500 Special. Units produced, 32. The 1969 AMC AMX California 500 Special was one of the rarest regional dealer exclusives ever offered by American Motors. Created as a tribute to the AMX that served as the official pace car at the Riverside International Raceway's California 500 NASCAR event, this limited edition carried unique styling touches and an aura of exclusivity. Only 32 units were produced, and they were sold exclusively through Southern California AMC dealers, making them nearly impossible to find outside the region. Mechanically, the California 500 Special was a standard AMX under the skin, powered by AMC's familiar lineup of high-performance V8 seconds, most commonly the 390 cubic inch engine, delivering up to 315 horsepower. The focus was not on radical performance upgrades, but rather on visual distinction and collectability. What set these cars apart were their exclusive cosmetic details, including a striking big bad green paint scheme, accented by bold black racing stripes that gave the car a menacing and sporty presence. Adding to the rarity, each California 500 Special featured unique brass hood emblems adorned with cross-checkered flags, signifying its connection to the racing world. These emblems were not used on any other AMX model, making them highly prized identifiers for collectors today. Beyond the emblems, the cars carried special badging and trim that made them stand out as genuine pace car replicas rather than standard AMXs dressed with dealer stripes. Although it was not built to dominate the drag strip like the Hearst Superstock AMX, the California 500 Special carried immense cultural significance. It embodied AMC's effort to align itself with motorsports at a time when racing success translated directly into showroom credibility. For AMC, a smaller automaker competing against Detroit's giants, limited runs like this demonstrated creativity and a flair for appealing to regional pride and racing enthusiasts. Today, surviving examples of the 1969 AMX California 500 Special are exceedingly rare, with many collectors unaware of their existence. Their low production numbers, unique racing-inspired details, and strong connection to one of AMC's most successful performance nameplates make them an overlooked treasure of the muscle car era. Number 15. 1970 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. Units produced, 25. The 1970 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 was a factory-built race car disguised in a street-legal body, created for the most serious of performance enthusiasts. Offered only for a single model year, and with just 25 units built, the ZR1 package remains one of the rarest and least-known performance options in Corvette history. It was Chevrolet's way of quietly offering an SCCA-ready Corvette straight from the showroom floor, while bypassing the luxury features that weighed down most production models. At the heart of the ZR1 package was the high-winding LT1 small-block engine. Displacing 350 cubic inches and conservatively rated at 370 horsepower, the LT1 featured solid lifters, a high compression ratio, and a large Holley carburetor. This engine was designed to rev freely and withstand the demands of road racing, making it one of the most capable small blocks ever produced by Chevrolet. The ZR1 package went far beyond the engine. Buyers also received a host of competition-level hardware, including heavy-duty suspension components, larger brakes, upgraded cooling systems, and reinforced driveline parts. To emphasize its racing mission, Chevrolet eliminated unnecessary creature comforts. Air conditioning, power steering, and radios were not available. This stripped-down approach kept weight down and performance sharp, while giving owners a car that could transition from street to track with minimal modification. Despite its purpose-built nature, the ZR1 was almost invisible to the casual observer. Outwardly, it looked much like any other Corvette coupe of the era, with no flashy stripes or unique badging to announce its presence. This understated appearance, combined with its minuscule production numbers, has made it a true hidden gem among Corvette enthusiasts. Today, the 1970 Corvette ZR1 is revered as one of the purest expressions of Chevrolet's racing spirit. With only 25 examples produced, they are exceedingly rare and highly sought after by collectors who appreciate their blend of small block agility and uncompromising performance intent. In a decade often remembered for big block power, the ZR1 proved that the right small block in the right chassis could be just as formidable. Number 14. 1967 Chevrolet Corvette L88. Units produced, 20. The 1967 Chevrolet Corvette L88 is one of the most mythical and sought-after muscle-era Corvettes ever built. Produced in a staggeringly low number, just 20 units, it was Chevrolet's ultimate factory-built race car disguised in Corvette form. The L88 was not designed for casual street use, but for serious racers who wanted to dominate both the drag strip and the road course. At the heart of the L88 package was a 427 cubic inch big block V8, officially rated at 430 horsepower. In reality, the engine's output was well north of 500 horsepower, thanks to its high compression pistons, aluminum intake manifold, aggressive camshaft, and Holley 4-barrel carburetor. To survive the punishment of racing, Chevrolet included heavy-duty internals, a reinforced cooling system, and a mandatory 4-speed manual transmission. But what made the L88 unique was Chevrolet's deliberate attempt to keep it out of the hands of casual buyers. Air conditioning, radios, and even heaters were not available, making the car bare bones in terms of comfort. It even required high-octane fuel not commonly found at every service station. These choices ensured that only hardcore racers or enthusiasts who understood its true purpose would order one. Performance was staggering for the time. With proper gearing and slicks, an L88 Corvette could rip through the quarter mile in the low 11-second range, making it one of the fastest production cars of the 1960s. On road courses, its lightweight aluminum parts and race-bred engineering made it a formidable competitor against European exotics. Because only 20 were built in 1967, original examples are among the rarest Corvettes in existence. Surviving L88 seconds are prized by collectors, with values that soar into the multi-million-dollar range at auctions. They embody Chevrolet's most unfiltered attempt to build a race car for the street with no compromises for comfort or convenience. Today, the 1967 Corvette L88 stands as a symbol of unrestrained American muscle. Its rarity, brutal power, and uncompromising focus on competition make it one of the most desirable and legendary Corvettes ever produced. Number 13. 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6 Convertible. Units produced 20. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6 Convertible is often regarded as the king of the muscle cars, thanks to its combination of brutal power and extreme rarity. While thousands of Chevelle SS models were produced that year, the LS6 package was ordered by only a fraction of buyers, and even fewer chose the convertible body style. Credible estimates place total production at fewer than 20 units, making these cars some of the scarcest and most valuable Chevelles ever built. The LS6 option introduced Chevrolet's most powerful production big block engine, a 454 cubic inch V8 rated at 450 horsepower, featuring a solid lifter camshaft, forged internals, a Holley 4-barrel carburetor mounted on an aluminum intake, and 12-to-1 compression. The LS6 was essentially a race engine in street clothes. Backed by either a Muncie 4-speed manual or a turbo hydromatic automatic, the LS6-powered Chevelle was capable of mid-13 second quarter-mile times straight from the showroom floor. The convertible body style made the LS6 Chevelle even more special. While most muscle cars of the era were hardtops or coupes, a handful of enthusiasts wanted their power served with open-air freedom. These buyers received the same heavy-duty driveline components and performance hardware as coupe owners, but with the added rarity of a ragtop configuration. This created one of the most unusual blends of muscle and style to ever leave Chevrolet's assembly lines. Because production numbers were so low, LS6 convertibles were virtually unknown to the general public at the time. Many lived hard lives on the drag strip or the street, and the survival rate today is minuscule. For collectors, finding a documented, original LS6 convertible is the equivalent of uncovering buried treasure. Their rarity and performance pedigree have pushed values into the stratosphere, with well-preserved examples commanding seven-figure sums at auctions. The 1970 Chevelle SS 454 LS6 convertible represents the ultimate expression of muscle car excess, maximum horsepower, maximum rarity, and maximum desirability. It stands as a reminder of a fleeting moment when automakers still prioritized raw performance above all else. Just before insurance surcharges and emissions rules ended the muscle car's first golden age. Number 12. 1971 Pontiac GTO Judge Convertible. Units produced 17. The 1971 Pontiac GTO Judge Convertible is one of the rarest expressions of Pontiac's most flamboyant muscle car. By 1971, the muscle car market was under siege from rising insurance rates, tightening emissions regulations, and shifting buyer preferences. Sales of the Judge package, which had once symbolized Pontiac's youthful swagger, were in steep decline. Out of the entire year's production, only 374 Judges were built, and just 17 of those were convertibles. All 17 were equipped with Pontiac's 455 cubic inch HO V8, which was officially rated at 335 horsepower but delivered much more torque than its predecessor engines. The HO motor featured round-port heads, a high-lift camshaft, free-flowing exhaust manifolds, and was paired with either a 4-speed manual or turbo-hydromatic automatic transmission. Though emissions, controls, and lower compression ratios were beginning to sap performance across the industry, the 455 HO retained strong muscle credentials, capable of low 14-second quarter-mile times. Visually, the 1971 Judge retained its distinctive identity. Buyers could order flamboyant orbit orange or other bold colors, paired with wild striping, rear deck spoilers, and Judge badging that left no doubt about the car's intentions. As a convertible, it combined the open-air cruising appeal with the full brashness of Pontiac's factory supercar image. With so few produced, each car carried an exclusivity unmatched by nearly every other muscle car of its time. Unfortunately, 1971 marked the final year for the Judge. Pontiac discontinued the package after this season, signaling the end of its boldest muscle car statement. That makes the 17 Judge convertibles built not only rare, but historically significant as the last and most exclusive chapter of the Judge legacy. Today, the 1971 Pontiac GTO Judge convertible is one of the ultimate collector's prizes. With just 17 examples, values have soared into the multi-million-dollar range when they surface at auction. For enthusiasts, it represents not only the peak of Pontiac's muscle car bravado, but also the closing curtain on an era of unrestrained horsepower and style. Number 11. 1963 Pontiac Catalina Swiss Cheese. Units produced, 14. The 1963 Pontiac Catalina Swiss Cheese was one of the wildest and rarest factory drag racers ever conceived by Detroit. Built under Pontiac's Super Duty program, these Catalinas earned their nickname from the radical weight-saving measures applied to their frames. To reduce mass, engineers literally drilled dozens of large holes through the chassis rails, giving the frame the appearance of Swiss cheese. The result was a car that was significantly lighter than a stock Catalina and tailor-made for quarter-mile dominance. Only 14 of these special cars were produced before General Motors' corporate ban on factory racing shut down Pontiac's Super Duty efforts. Each one came powered by the mighty 421 cubic inch Super Duty V8. This engine featured forged internals, high-flow cylinder heads, and dual 4-barrel carburetors, producing a conservatively rated 405 horsepower. In reality, with tuning, these engines delivered closer to 450 horsepower, making them formidable weapons on the drag strip. The Swiss cheese Catalinas weren't just about brute force, they were about innovation. In addition to the lightweight chassis, Pontiac substituted aluminum body panels for the hood, fenders, and bumpers. Interiors were stripped of non-essential trim, further reducing curb weight and enhancing performance. These changes allowed the Catalina to shed nearly 500 pounds compared to a standard full-size model. For drag racing, every pound mattered, and Pontiac's engineers pushed boundaries in ways that were unheard of for a factory-backed car. On the strip, the Swiss cheese Catalina was a revelation. Quarter-mile times in the low 12-second range were achievable, placing Pontiac firmly in contention with Chrysler's Max Wedge Mopars and Ford's Thunderbolts. Unfortunately, their brief production run and the abrupt end of the Super Duty program meant these cars had only a short window to prove themselves. Today, surviving examples of the 1963 Catalina Swiss cheese are some of the most coveted Pontiacs ever built. With only 14 produced, they are museum-worthy rarities, representing both Pontiac's engineering ingenuity and the last gasp of factory-sanctioned drag racing before GM pulled the plug. Their combination of scarcity, ingenuity, and raw power makes them legends in the world of muscle car history. Number 10. 1971 Chevrolet Corvette ZR2. Units produced, 12. The 1971 Chevrolet Corvette ZR2 stands as one of the most elusive and extraordinary Corvettes ever produced. Unlike the earlier ZR1 small block package, the ZR2 represented Chevrolet's attempt to create a no-compromise, big block racing Corvette. Offered for only a single model year, just 12 examples were built, making it one of the rarest performance options ever offered in the Corvette's long history. At its core, the ZR2 package featured the fearsome LS6 454 cubic inch big block V8. Rated at 425 horsepower, the LS6 was engineered with high compression pistons, a forged steel crankshaft, and a Holley 4-barrel carburetor. In reality, output exceeded the advertised figure, and when combined with the Corvette's fiberglass body, the ZR2 was a brutal street and track performer. Quarter-mile times in the low 13-second range were possible, and the massive torque of the LS6 made it equally devastating on open roads. But the ZR2 was more than just an engine swap. It was a full competition package. It included heavy-duty brakes, a larger radiator, upgraded suspension components, and reinforced driveline parts to handle the strain of big block power. Like the ZR1, Chevrolet stripped away luxuries. No air conditioning, power steering, or radios were available. This left the ZR2 a pure driver's car, designed for enthusiasts who valued performance above all else. The timing of the ZR2's release was unfortunate. 1971 was the beginning of lower compression ratios due to stricter emissions regulations and the phasing out of high-octane leaded fuel. As a result, despite its capability, the ZR2 was a one-year wonder, quietly disappearing after its tiny production run. Today, the 1971 Corvette ZR2 is one of the most prized big block Corvettes ever built. With only 12 examples produced, their rarity is nearly unmatched, and collectors pay extraordinary sums when one surfaces. The ZR2 remains the ultimate expression of Corvette big block power, a final hurrah before the muscle car era gave way to regulation and restraint. Number 9. 1971 Plymouth Cuda Hemi Convertible. Units produced, 12. The 1971 Plymouth Cuda Hemi Convertible is considered by many collectors to be the holy grail of muscle cars. Produced in vanishingly small numbers, just 12 examples were built during its final year of availability, with 7 destined for the U.S. market and 5 for export. This extreme rarity, combined with the legendary 426 Hemi under the hood, has elevated the car to iconic status in the world of American performance. By 1971, the muscle car era was already facing mounting pressure from emissions restrictions, insurance surcharges, and changing buyer attitudes. Still, Plymouth offered enthusiasts one last chance to pair its most powerful engine with the open-air freedom of the convertible body style. The 426 Hemi, conservatively rated at 425 horsepower, was paired with either a heavy-duty 4-speed manual transmission or a TorqueFlite automatic. With dual 4-barrel carburetors, forged internals, and hemispherical combustion chambers, the Hemi was notorious for its raw torque and explosive acceleration. Performance was staggering for a car of its size. Period tests showed quarter-mile times dipping into the low 13-second range, and with traction improvements, even faster runs were possible. The Cuda's E-body platform provided a wide stance and aggressive styling that only enhanced its road presence. With the convertible option, it was not only a brute on the drag strip, but also a showpiece on the boulevard. Yet the car's exclusivity worked against it in period sales. Few buyers were willing to pay the premium for a Hemi convertible, especially when insurance rates were skyrocketing and gas prices were climbing. As a result, production was cut to almost nothing, and 1971 marked the last year Plymouth would offer the Hemi option altogether. Today, the 1971 Hemi Cuda convertible is among the most valuable muscle cars ever sold, with auction prices regularly climbing into the multi-million-dollar range. Its combination of rarity, legendary performance, and unmatched desirability ensures its place at the very top of muscle car history. Owning one is considered the pinnacle achievement for Mopar collectors worldwide. Number 8. 1969 Chevrolet Corvette Baldwin Motion Phase 3rd GT. Units produced, around 10. The 1969 Chevrolet Corvette Baldwin Motion Phase 3rd GT was one of the most radical and exclusive dealer-built supercars of its time. Created through a partnership between Baldwin Chevrolet on Long Island and Motion Performance, run by Joel Rosen, these cars represented the pinnacle of custom high-performance Corvettes in the late 1960s. Only about 10 examples were ever built between 1969 and 1971, making them incredibly rare and unique. The Phase 3rd GT began life as a standard big block Corvette, typically equipped with Chevrolet's massive 427 or 454 cubic inch V8. Motion Performance then extensively modified the cars, tuning engines to produce well over 500 horsepower. Each Corvette was guaranteed to run an 11-second quarter mile or better, a promise Rosen backed with a written warranty, unheard of in the world of custom muscle cars. Styling was equally outrageous. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than the Phase. 3rd GT featured a unique fastback rear window treatment, custom fiberglass nose with recessed headlights, flared fenders, and side exhausts. Interiors were often upgraded with luxury touches like leather upholstery and custom gauges, blending race-ready performance with bespoke refinement. Many cars were painted in wild, metallic, or candy-colored finishes, ensuring no two Phase 3rd GTs were alike. These cars were not intended for mass-market buyers, but for wealthy enthusiasts seeking something faster and more distinctive than what Chevrolet could offer from the factory. Each build was tailored to the customer's specifications, which makes surviving examples today even more individualized and collectible. Their combination of guaranteed performance, exotic styling, and extreme rarity has cemented their reputation as some of the most valuable dealer-built Corvettes in existence. Today, the 1969 Baldwin Motion Phase 3rd GT is celebrated as an icon of muscle car excess and creativity. With only about 10 constructed, they rank among the rarest American supercars of the era. Their legacy embodies a time when dealers and tuners could push the boundaries of style and performance beyond what manufacturers dared to attempt. Number 7. 1970 Dodge Challenger RT Hemi Convertible. Units produced, 9. The 1970 Dodge Challenger RT Hemi Convertible is one of the most exclusive Mopars ever produced, and today it stands as a crown jewel among muscle car collectors. In its debut year, the Challenger was Dodge's answer to the pony car craze, designed to battle the Mustang, Camaro, and Cuda. But when paired with the legendary 426 Hemi and the convertible body style, it became something far rarer and far more exotic. Only 9 were built, instantly securing its place as one of the rarest muscle cars of the golden era. Under the hood was Chrysler's most feared engine, the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, it was widely known to produce much more in real-world conditions. With dual 4-barrel carburetors, hemispherical combustion chambers, and race-bred internals, the Hemi delivered brutal torque and straight-line performance. In the relatively heavy Challenger convertible body, it still managed quarter-mile times in the low 13-second range, with skilled drivers pushing it into the 12s. The RT package added even more aggression with performance suspension, rally instrumentation, and bold styling cues like the shaker hood scoop. Buyers could pair the Hemi with either a 4-speed manual gearbox for maximum control or a torque flight automatic for raw, tire-melting launches. Despite these qualities, few customers opted for the convertible version as the combination of high insurance premiums and soaring price limited its appeal. This scarcity is precisely what makes the 1970 Hemi Challenger convertible so valuable today. Out of 9 built, each one carries its own unique options, colors, and configurations, making every surviving example a one-of-one in some respect. Their rarity is compounded by the fact that many muscle convertibles were driven hard and lost to time, leaving only a handful in pristine condition. For collectors, the 1970 Dodge Challenger RT Hemi convertible represents a perfect storm of rarity, styling, and performance. It captures the peak of Mopar's dominance, just before tightening regulations and market forces began to choke the muscle car movement. Today, these 9 cars are considered million-dollar machines, the very definition of unobtainable Mopar muscle. Number 6. 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Convertible. Units produced, 8. The 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Convertible is among the rarest muscle cars of its era and a true cornerstone of Pontiac performance history. Introduced late in the 1969 model year, the Trans Am package was designed to homologate Pontiac's pony car for SCCA Trans Am racing. While over 600 hardtops were built, only 8 convertibles were produced, making them one of the lowest production muscle cars ever offered to the public. Every 1969 Trans Am, whether coupe or convertible, came finished in cameo white, with dual blue racing stripes running across the hood, roof, and deck lid. This gave the cars a uniform, race-inspired appearance that tied directly into the Trans Am series heritage. The 8 convertibles were no exception, each carrying the same aggressive graphics, functional air intakes, and aerodynamic add-ons that set them apart from standard Firebirds. Powering these ultra-rare machines was Pontiac's Ram Air 3rd 400 cubic inch V8, rated at 335 horsepower. Buyers could also opt for the Ram Air 4th version, which increased output further with higher lift camshafts and improved breathing. Transmission choices included 4-speed manuals or turbo-hydromatic automatics, and all cars came with performance-oriented suspension and handling upgrades. These specifications made the Trans Am more than just a visual package, it was a serious performance car on both the street and the track. The rarity of the convertible body style came from timing and demand. By the late 60s, muscle car buyers increasingly preferred hardtops for rigidity and racing relevance, while insurance surcharges and rising costs further limited interest in high-performance convertibles. As a result, Pontiac's decision to build only 8 was both practical and, in hindsight, historically significant. Today, the 1969 Firebird Trans Am convertible is considered one of the crown jewels of Pontiac collecting. With only 8 examples ever built, each one is effectively priceless, with auction values soaring into the multi-million-dollar range. Their blend of rarity, historical importance, and raw Pontiac muscle ensures their place among the most legendary American muscle cars ever produced. Number 5. 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner Hemi Convertible. Units produced, 4. The 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner Hemi Convertible is one of the rarest Mopar muscle cars ever produced, with only 4 units built. By the dawn of the 70s, insurance costs, stricter emissions laws, and changing consumer priorities had begun to chip away at the muscle car market. As a result, very few buyers were willing to pay the premium for the 426 Hemi engine, especially in a convertible body style, which was already a declining segment. The Roadrunner had been introduced in 1968 as a budget-friendly performance car, focused on delivering maximum thrills at minimum cost. But when paired with Chrysler's legendary 426 Hemi, the car became far more than a bargain. It was transformed into one of the most formidable muscle machines on the road. Officially rated at 425 horsepower, the Hemi's real output was significantly higher, and it was capable of pushing the heavy convertible through the quarter mile in the low 13-second range. Each of the 4 Roadrunner Hemi convertibles, built in 1970, came with reinforced drivetrains and heavy-duty suspensions to handle the immense torque. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter or Chrysler's rugged Torque Flight automatic. In addition, distinctive performance cues such as functional air grabber hoods and aggressive striping gave these cars a muscular appearance that matched their capability. Despite their potency, few customers saw the value in pairing a race-bred engine with the open-top Roadrunner. That rarity is what makes them so special today. It is less than #0. 5 is greater than, with only 4 produced, and no Hemi convertibles offered in 1971. As Plymouth dropped the body style entirely, the 1970 model year stands as the swan song for the Roadrunner convertible. Today, the 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner Hemi convertible is among the most valuable Mopars in existence. Surviving examples trade hands only on rare occasions, and when they do, they command prices well into the multi-million-dollar range. They represent not only the peak of Mopar performance, but also the end of an era when muscle cars could be ordered in nearly any configuration, even one as unlikely as a convertible built to house the mighty Hemi. Number 4. 1970 Dodge Coronet RT Hemi Convertible. Units produced, 2. The 1970 Dodge Coronet RT Hemi Convertible is one of the rarest Mopars ever produced, with just 2 examples known to have been built. Offered during the final year of the Coronet RT line, it represented both the peak and the swan song of Dodge's full-size muscle cars. The combination of the 426 Hemi V8 and the open-air convertible body style made it virtually unobtainable from the start, ensuring its legendary status today. Under the hood was Chrysler's most formidable engine, the 426 cubic inch Hemi, officially rated at 425 horsepower. With its dual 4-barrel carburetors, hemispherical combustion chambers, and bulletproof internals, the Hemi was built for competition and had earned its reputation as the Elephant. Take it a vigilant onset of full inside. In the Coronet RT convertible, this power plant gave the car quarter-mile potential in the low 13-second range, astonishing for a full-size drop-top. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual gearbox or the rugged Torque Flight automatic, and of the 2 built, one was fitted with each transmission. Stylistically, the 1970 Coronet featured Dodge's distinctive fuselage design with quad headlights and a wide, aggressive stance. The RT trim added performance cues such as rally instrumentation, unique badging, and bold stripe options. With the convertible configuration, the Coronet RT Hemi combined muscular looks with boulevard cruising appeal, even if few customers were brave enough to order such a costly and impractical configuration. Production numbers were staggeringly low because by 1970, muscle convertibles were falling out of favor. Insurance companies penalized high-horsepower cars heavily, while emissions regulations loomed on the horizon. For most buyers, the idea of pairing the expensive Hemi option with a convertible simply didn't make sense, leading to the near-extinct tally of just 2 built. Today, the 1970 Dodge Coronet RT Hemi convertible is recognized as one of the ultimate unicorns of Mopar history. With only 1 automatic and 1 4-speed ever produced, their provenance is beyond question, and values are astronomical when one surfaces at auction. They embody the absolute height of rarity in American muscle cars, representing the final roar of Dodge's Hemi-powered full-size convertibles. Number 3. 1969 Chevrolet Corvette ZL1. Units produced, 2. The 1969 Chevrolet Corvette ZL1 is one of the most elusive and valuable performance cars ever to leave General Motors. Built in microscopic numbers, only 2 are confirmed to have been sold. It was essentially a street-legal race car, created for customers who demanded nothing less than the most extreme Corvette possible. While the Corvette L88 was already a fearsome machine, the ZL1 went even further with its all-aluminum 427 cubic inch big block engine. The ZL1 engine, originally designed for Can-Am racing, was Chevrolet's most advanced big block of the era. Officially rated at 430 horsepower, its actual output was closer to 500 thanks to its lightweight aluminum block, open chamber heads, and aggressive camshaft. The engine shaved more than 100 pounds off the front end compared to an iron block L88, improving weight distribution and handling. Combined with the Corvette's fiberglass body, the ZL1 delivered an unparalleled blend of brute strength and surprising balance. Chevrolet packaged the ZL1 with every heavy-duty racing component available: reinforced cooling systems, upgraded suspension, heavy-duty brakes, and a mandatory 4-speed manual transmission. Luxury items such as air conditioning, radios, and power steering were deliberately excluded, reinforcing its singular mission as a no-compromise performance car. The price tag reflected this exclusivity. The ZL1 engine option alone cost more than the base price of a Corvette, pushing the total sticker shock to over $10,000, astronomical for 1969. As a result, very few buyers were willing to make the leap, and production stopped after only 2 customer cars were delivered, 1 coupe and 1 convertible. On the drag strip and the track, the Corvette ZL1 was nearly unstoppable. Capable of quarter-mile times in the low 11-second range, it was faster than many dedicated race cars of its day. Yet its rarity, not just its performance, has secured its legendary status. Today, the 1969 Corvette ZL1 is considered the ultimate C3 Corvette and one of the most collectible American muscle cars ever built. With only 2 in existence, they are priceless artifacts of an era when Chevrolet dared to offer a factory-built race engine in a street-legal car. Number 2. 1969 Mercury Cougar Boss 429. Units produced: 2. The 1969 Mercury Cougar Boss 429 is one of the most obscure and fascinating muscle cars of the era. While Ford's Mustang was the better-known home for the Boss 429 engine, Mercury quietly built just 2 Cougars equipped with this exotic power plant. These were essentially experimental prototypes, commissioned for Lincoln Mercury's involvement in the racing world, and they remain among the rarest muscle cars ever produced. At the heart of the Cougar Boss 429 was the same semi-hemispherical V8 that powered the Mustang Boss 429. Originally designed for NASCAR homologation, the engine featured massive cylinder heads, oversized valves, a forged bottom end, and a Holley carburetor feeding a high-rise intake. Though officially underrated at 375 horsepower, actual output was well above 500 when properly tuned. In the Cougar's slightly larger and more refined body, the Boss 429 delivered both brute performance and luxury muscle appeal. Styling-wise, the Cougar Boss 429 prototypes carried all the hallmarks of Mercury's upscale performance line. With hidden headlights, flowing body lines, and a more refined interior than its Mustang counterpart, the Cougar offered a unique blend of sophistication and raw power. The combination of an exotic NASCAR engine and a luxury-leaning pony car created something truly special. Production was halted after only 2 were completed, as Mercury ultimately did not pursue a Boss 429 option for public sale. This makes them more than just rare; they are essentially one-off engineering exercises that slip through the cracks of corporate decision-making. Their existence underscores how far Ford and Mercury were willing to push boundaries during the height of the horsepower wars. Today, the 1969 Mercury Cougar Boss 429 stands as one of the ultimate what-if cars of the muscle era. With only two built, both are priceless relics of Ford's racing ambitions and Mercury's brief flirtation with building a true supercar competitor to the Mustang. They represent an extraordinary blend of exclusivity, performance, and untapped potential, securing their place among the rarest American muscle cars ever made. Number 1. 1967 Shelby GT 500 Super Snake. Units produced: 1. The 1967 Shelby GT 500 Super Snake is not only the rarest Shelby Mustang ever built, but also one of the most legendary one-off muscle cars in history. Conceived by Carroll Shelby and his team at Shelby American, the car was originally created as a promotional vehicle for Goodyear to showcase their new high-speed Thunderbolt tires. Instead of simply modifying a standard GT 500, Shelby built something truly extraordinary. At its heart was a 427 cubic inch race-bred V8, the same type of engine that powered the Ford GT 40 Mark II to victory at Le Mans in 1966. This was no ordinary street big block. It was a full competition spec power plant producing well over 500 horsepower. Mated to a robust 4-speed transmission and backed by heavy-duty suspension and drivetrain upgrades, the Super Snake was engineered to handle sustained triple-digit speeds. In testing, the Super Snake lived up to its outrageous potential. Shelby himself drove the car on a Goodyear test track, pushing it to speeds exceeding 170 miles per hour over a distance of 500 miles without failure. The test proved not only the durability of Goodyear's tires, but also the staggering capability of Shelby's engineering. At a time when most muscle cars struggled to break 130 miles per hour, the Super Snake stood in a league of its own. Shelby had considered building a small production run of Super Snakes, but the astronomical cost of the 427 racing engine, several times more expensive than a regular GT 500, made it impractical. As a result, the lone prototype was the only example ever built. Today, the 1967 Shelby GT 500 Super Snake is revered as one of the most valuable and unique American muscle cars. It embodies the no-compromise spirit of Carroll Shelby and represents the absolute zenith of Mustang performance in the 1960s. With only one in existence, it is truly the definition of irreplaceable, a singular masterpiece of American performance history.